Hi everyone, this presentation is a short overview of the assessment task number 2, critical essay. In this presentation I will explain the details of the assessment task and what you have to do in this essay. We'll look together at the marking rubric and at the essay structure. I will also explain how you can write a good introduction to be successful in your critical essays, and I will also share a few useful suggestions. And the final part of this presentation will focus on the submission process as well as special consideration and extensions. Let's look at the details of the assessment task together. In this task, you will write an essay on the argument given in your oral presentation. This means that you just convert your oral presentation in a written work. Your argument should be well supported with academic references, coherent and convincing. You also need to include constructive feedback that you have received on your oral presentation from your peers or from me. You need to use at least 8 peer-reviewed references, but of course I would encourage you to use more than this to make your argument more convincing. This essay is 3,000 words and you can go beyond or above 10%. This doesn't include the title page and the reference list. And this essay is very important because its value is 50%. What you have to do in this essay is you basically just need to answer your investigation question, and you do this by stating your argument. Your argument becomes your answer. It's usually 1 or 2 sentences clearly stating your opinion on your investigation issue. Then you need to support your argument by providing explanation and evidence from the literature, and as you probably know, you can organize these ideas by 3 or 5 supporting points. Another important thing to remember is that you need to evaluate critically each point using the literature to convince your reader. Please remember, it's a critical essay. If you don't do critique, it's just a descriptive essay. And of course, you need to refute your critique and counter-argument to strengthen your ideas. And the last point, which is also very important, is that you need to reflect on how you incorporated or not your tutors or peers' feedback on your oral presentation. So it's just one small paragraph at the end of the essay, maybe even using bullet points, where you explain how you engage with the feedback. The marking rubric is available in the unit guide. However, I outline the main points here and I will also explain them quickly. So the first point is the scope and the expression of interest. I'm basically interested if you have a thesis statement. Do you provide an answer to your investigation question? The next one is coherence of your argument. Are your supporting points logical? The next one is supporting evidence for arguments. Do you use the literature? Where do all these ideas come from? You also need to critique and refute your points because they will make your arguments stronger. You also need to pay attention to your referencing because referencing is a part of this assessment. Overall written presentation of the essay, please make sure there are no mistakes or poor paragraphs in your work. And the last point, which is also very important, incorporation of feedback from your oral presentation. Again, in some bullet points or just in a short paragraph, you can explain how you've addressed the feedback on your oral presentation. Please make sure you include all these points in your work, otherwise you're going to lose your marks. This slide outlines the possible structure of your essay. However, it's optional, which means if you have a bad idea, it's up to you, but please don't get too creative. So you need to have a title page where you have your name, unit code, tutor's name and word count. The first section of your essay is usually an introduction, and in the next slide I'm going to share a few ideas about writing a good introduction. However, what I want to highlight here is that you need to state your argument in your introduction in academic writing, and you also need to provide a clear outline, so you basically need to list your main supporting points in your introduction. The second part of your essay is usually called body, and it's organized by your supporting points, by themes, which actually provide evidence for your argument. You need to have a good heading for each supporting point, and what you need to do, you just provide evidence and your examples explaining your supporting point. In this section, you also include your critique and refutation. And you do this for all sections you have. So you may have 3, you may have 4 or 5. It's up to you. I would encourage you to use a proper heading. Just maybe use a short phrase from your supporting points as a heading. Then you have a conclusion where you bring all these ideas together. And another important thing, don't forget about the reflection on the feedback, just a small section. and you conclude your work with a reference list in the alphabetical order. Just a quick reminder, please revisit the booklet I shared with you in the workshops and have another look at the model essay My Job in an Apple Plant, which provides a sample essay which can be used to model your work. This slide provides an overview of writing a good introduction. What you have to remember is that in academic writing, introduction has a very specific function. It also has very specific elements which have to be included to make it effective. This diagram shows you the general structure of an introduction. You usually start with a big idea and then you narrow it down. Usually your introduction is only about 10 or 20% of the essay length, and it has to include 5 main elements. You need to introduce your specific topic. You also need to state the intention and the scope of your essay, and it's a good idea here to go to your task and see what you have to do in your assignment. You also need to provide any definitions of any big ideas or big terms that you are using in your work. Another important thing is that you have to state your argument very clearly in your introduction. You need to have your thesis statement or claim in your introduction. And you usually conclude your introduction with the general structure of your essay. Please explore this example and have a look at its different elements highlighted in different colors. Here are some useful suggestions to support your writing. Please use size 11 Arial font and make sure it's readable. I would love to see 1.5 spacing because you're submitting a PDF file, so I won't be able to change anything in your formatting. So please think about my eyes. I would encourage you to have clear headings because it's a long essay. It's good to have some breaks. So please, you can use such headings as introduction, conclusion, and you can use key ideas or short phrases when you talk about your supporting points. In this essay, you can use I to talk about you as the author of this work. Don't forget about good paragraphs and use Moodle resources and the TIL structure in particular. Don't forget that in academic writing, everything has to be very clear and everything pretty much structured. You need to have one idea per paragraph. Your paragraph has to be about 150 to 100 words. It's good to have a clear topic sentence, and please refer to the TIL structure on Moodle to support your paragraphs. Don't forget that in this essay we are using APA referencing style. You are quite familiar with the submission process already, so just a reminder that the due date of this assignment is the 27th of September, 11:55 Singapore time. Please submit on time. You have to submit your work into 2 places. You need to submit to the Dropbox. This is where I do marking, and Turnitin is another place which helps me to determine plagiarism. And please submit a PDF file. If you're unable to submit your assignment on time, you need to organize a special consideration or an extension. You need to email me at least 1 day before the deadline, so organize this. Please remember you need to provide evidence such as a medical certificate explaining the issue. And please remember that late submissions are usually penalized, so please submit on time. I wish you all the best in this assignment. Please do well. I'm looking forward to reading your assignments. Your presentations were fantastic, and I hope with the feedback you will be able to improve your work even further. All the best. Good luck.